Welcome to the employee parking lot here at TicTac World Headquarters. My name's Chris, and my wife and I own Vistabule number 675, which we call TicTac. In this series of videos, I'm going to look at the various electrical systems within the camper and the connection to the tow vehicle. While much of the content of these videos pertains specifically to the Vistabule camper, some of it will be of interest and use to other small camper owners. If any of this sounds interesting, stick around, we'll get started in a second. How about now, honey?
Oh no.
Before we get started, I'm just going to flash up a quick disclaimer. If you want to take a read, gives you background and what this video series is and is not going to accomplish. Pause the video to read it completely. So I'm going to start this series off right up here at the front with the tow vehicle and discuss the 7-blade connection between the tow vehicle and the camper, what it does, what it provides, and some helpful tricks. Vistabule uses a industry standard 7-blade trailer connector to connect the camper to the tow vehicle. That connection provides brake lights, left and right indicators, running lights, as well as 12-volt ground. It also provides 12-volt DC auxiliary power, but a little bit more on that later. It also provides a signal path from the tow vehicle to the camper for a brake controller if one is installed in your tow vehicle. The auto brake system, if installed in your camper, will sense that you have an external brake control system and will just pass those signals on to the brake system. Lastly, one of the signals that's run all the way back to the camper is the backup lights, but they are not wired back in the electronics compartment. So a few quick notes on the 12-volt line going back to the camper. Although it is wired and does theoretically provide charging capability to the camper battery, there is potential for it to be unreliable. Most newer vehicles have what's known as a smart alternator, which doesn't run constantly, so it's not providing power to the battery all the time. What this means is that if you have a lithium battery installed, the tow vehicle could actually be drawing power from the camper battery because of the way the lithium battery charges. With an AGM or lead acid battery, you may actually have the potential to draw down your car battery trying to charge the battery in the camper. To avoid issues, it's best to disconnect your camper from the tow vehicle if you're stopped for any length of time. One thing I did is I actually disconnected that 12-volt signal back in the electronics puka so I don't have to worry about any sort of power draw in either direction. There are ways to overcome the limitations of the smart alternator, but that's left either for another video or as an exercise for the viewer. On newer Vistabules, the auto brake system is actually wired to the 12-volt system within the camper, so you need to have the system turned on at the galley switch. In older Vistabules, the auto brake system was powered by the 12-volt signal from the car, but again, because of the issues with the smart alternator, Vistabule decided to wire it directly to the 12-volt system. Since the Vistabule does use a 7-blade connection, you got to make sure your tow vehicle is equipped to handle that. Larger trucks and SUVs may come equipped standard with a 7-blade connector, or at least have it available as an option. In that case, you should be all set to connect up to the camper. Some vehicles, smaller SUVs and pickup trucks, may only come with a 4-pin connector or have that available as an option. In that case, you've got two options. You can get a 4 to 7-blade adapter, which merely maps the 4-pin signals to the 7-blade, in which case you'd lose the 12-volt power signal, the backup light, and the brake controller signal. If you're okay with those limitations, that's a fairly simple thing to install. It just plugs into the 4-pin connector and provides a 7-blade connector at the end of the tow vehicle. The other option, if you have a 4-pin already installed, is to get a 4-pin to 7-blade converter. What that does is provide the standard 4-pin signals, as well as provide the constant 12-volt, the backup signal, and the brake controller signal. It's a little bit more involved to install because you'll have to access the car wiring and power from the battery. If you're not comfortable working with the car's electrical system or removing panels from within inside the car, you can go to an RV center to have installed, or a company that installs trailer hitches. I did some research online and I found a 4-pin to 7-blade converter that works in my RAV4. It was a fairly straightforward installation. Once I figured out where everything had to go, it was about a 90-minute installation start to finish. Here's what my setup looks like, and as you can see, not only does it have the 7-blade connector, it also provides a 4-pin connector for things like my kayak trailer. So you've got your tow vehicle ready to go with some form of a 7-blade connector. Now it's time to hook up the camper. Before you hook up your camper the first time, you may want to consider using a 7-blade tester to make sure that everything is wired correctly as the tow vehicle. By utilizing the tester and making sure that the tow vehicle is wired correctly, you won't have to guess where the issue is if you do have a problem once you connect up the camper. At the start of each season, I will use the tester to make sure everything's still working the way it should. To insert the tester, lift the cover on the jack, line up the key with the keyway on the top of the connection, and insert firmly. If everything is wired correctly and you have a good connection, you should see the 12-volt indication illuminate immediately. So with the tester installed, we have the 12-volt showing is on. I'm now going to work with my co-pilot and go through the different signals. Left turn, right turn, hazards, running lights, and brakes. That completes the check. Tow vehicle is wired up correctly. Before hooking up, I also use a little contact cleaner both on the camper end of the cable and on the tow vehicle connection. It helps keep things clean and helps eliminate corrosion, making sure you have a good electrical connection. I also apply a little dielectric grease both to the camper connection and the tow vehicle connection to help keep those contacts clean to provide a good electrical contact. So the camper's ready, your tow vehicle's up and running, ready to go. Let's connect the camper up to the tow vehicle. Instead of actually moving the camper and using the camper wiring, I'm going to use this replacement plug just to make things a little simpler and easier to see. So just like with the tester, to install the cable from the camper, lift up the flap, make sure your keyway's lined up, and insert firmly into the jack. Something I just learned recently is that on the bottom of the cover is a small catch that will engage with the top of the keyway, which helps eliminate risk of the plug pulling out of the connection. Once the camper is connected up to the tow vehicle, I'll do a light check to make sure the connection is good. And I will do a light check every time I connect up to the tow vehicle. And once that light check is complete, you're ready to start your next adventure. Doing the camper light check with 2 people is easy, but what if you have to do it by yourself? A Vistabule owner came up with a great idea. They prop their cell phone at the back of the camper, start video recording, go into the vehicle and run through the light sequences. When they're done, they go back and review the footage and they make sure all the lights work the way they should. It's a clever solution to the problem. One last tip before we go is to make sure your cable's not dragging on the ground. Speaking from experience, if the cable does drag, you can actually braid through the outer sheath and damage the wiring, requiring replacement of either the end or the entire cable back to the camper. I fitted up a small eye hook and a bungee cord to make sure that it does not drag on the ground while I'm driving. Well, that's it for this video. If you have any comments or thoughts, leave a comment below in the comment section. Until next video, happy camping.